35 years, no doubt you've learned a great deal that you love teaching. What's one big lesson, maybe a lesson regarding sales that I mean, because I got to be in Dallas. I mean, you nailed it. I love the talk you gave us on sales. But what's one big sales lesson that when you get a chance, if somebody were just like, hey, off the cuff, hey, David's in sales. Hey, David, why don't you tell us something about sales? Like it's like a comedian. Hey, tell us a joke. What is something about sales that you've learned that you just love sharing with people?
There's a distinction. It's called committed, but not attached.
The collaborative entrepreneur.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Collaborative Entrepreneur. This is the show where we aim to build partnerships and grow our businesses together. I'm your host, Tracy Currington. If you have ever desired to delve into the mind of a person who appears to be going places and learn from their experiences, then you have come to the right place, my friend. I have a special guest on the call today. He's real estate agent, sales trainer, 10X business coach with Grant Cardone affiliated with him. That's where I got to meet him. He spent 30,000 hours of talking time with prospects over the phone. His first year of real estate, he closed 7 times more deals than anybody else in the same market. He's built his own real estate team. He's in the top 100 agents out of 130,000 guys. And he travels to offer sales training around the country. In fact, I got to see him offer sales training in Dallas recently, which was a great time with me and my son. He's just a superstar in the area of sales, and that's where I want to grow in. So he's kind of an inspirational to me. I've kind of viewed him afar, just inspired by all things sales. I thought in my life that I didn't want to do sales, that I was just not a salesperson, right? It turns out we're all selling something, aren't we? Hopefully it's happiness. But in our conversation today, we're going to be talking about his business, about the challenges that he's faced himself, how he's grown and developed himself, his business, and so much more. I know he's going to be sharing some valuable insights and lessons that he's learned along the way, both with real estate and with sales training, and maybe just in life. He's also been married for, I guess, going on about 10 years now. And just all the things he's learned from his entrepreneurial journey that could help you on yours. So if you don't have it yet, get yourself a cup of coffee, maybe a cup of hot tea, or a bottle of water, a pen, notebook. I've got mine. I'm ready to take some notes and get ready to learn from our guest entrepreneur. His name is David Hill. David, so honored to have you with us today. Welcome to the call, my friend.
Thanks, my man. Appreciate it. And appreciate it. And just to clarify, when I was at Keller Williams, I was in 2011, I was in the top 100 real estate agents. I think at the time there were probably about 109, maybe 110,000 agents. So that's not a bad deal, but I am no longer in the top 100. I don't even sell real estate on a regular anymore. My wife sells it all now. So
I see.
Just to be clear.
Okay. Very good. Well, thank you for that clarity. Yeah. So glad to have you on the call. And I said in the introduction that I've been following you just kind of afar. I've been checking out like what you're doing with marketing. I love that we got to be at the event together in Miami recently with Grant and having him in the room. I never got to tell you this in person, so I'll just tell it to you now, that I was really impressed with your transparency. And one of the questions you asked, just really putting yourself out there. And that was kind of inspirational to me. So thank you for just doing that, just being real.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Absolutely. Yeah, it's I'm not sure exactly what question it was, but I appreciate you saying that.
Absolutely. So give my audience just a quick bio sketch. Who is David? Where have you come from on your journey through the entrepreneurial space, and how did you get to where you are right now?
Yeah, I'm a 35-year salesperson, outbound sales pretty much all the time. I started in a Kirby call center a long time ago, and then for whatever reason, I was interested in the phones, I guess, and I built, and then I went to work for a credit card company back in the day. We used to call people and get them to do credit card applications over the phone, which looking back at that now, I was like, that was probably not the greatest thing. Although I was good at it, right? And then we built a regional magazine, cold calling, telephone books, and and trade magazines and door knocking, like everything, like any, we had literally clients like AT&T and Verizon and Benjamin Moore, and just from literally just cold calling, door knocking, contacting agencies cold, and I built my real estate business. Spent my last 21 years in the real estate space, and 2 years ago during COVID, that was for me, it was obviously a challenging time for a lot of us, and it was an opportunity for me to transition into what I love doing full time, which is training, coaching, and just helping other people. So right now I help salespeople, entrepreneurs, small business owners, real estate agents with their sales process, with their marketing process, handling objections, follow up, everything sales. And excited, we just launched an agency, and now we're helping people setting up with technology, automation, landing pages, funnels, all that good stuff. So super.
Wow.
I'm having fun, man. It's amazing.
That's awesome. What a journey. 35 years.
Thank you.
35 years in
Crazy.
Coming to this point, huh?
35 years, my man. We're getting
Yeah.
a little older, but you know what? I'm staying young, man. I'm staying young.
Uh-huh.
I
Yes.
work out a ton. You look good yourself, man. So,
Oh, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I love seeing your running. Just it pours the conviction on me, my friend. I see the 5 miles you run or the biking that you do, and I'm like, oh man, Tracy, get back to the gym.
it's a lot. Well,
Yeah.
I'm training for a race right now, so that's why. But it's if I wasn't training for this race, I've got an Ironman 70.3 in September.
Wow.
I would never do what I'm doing right now because it's miserable most days. Right now, my workouts average 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Wow.
And they're just going to get longer as I get closer. So, and sometimes I'm sitting on a stationary bike. I set it up in my office, but I'm on this bike for 2 hours and 45 minutes. And this
Wow.
Saturday, I got 3 hours just so, you get a lot of time by yourself, a lot of time thinking. And you know how many times it's ironic because I was like started counting how many times do I want to quit as I'm going through this 3-hour ride. And last time it was like 6 times. I was just like, why am I even doing this? This is stupid.
Yes.
It's a waste of time. Like, what's the point? But you just keep going, man. And I think it's a metaphor for life.
Sure. I've done of course the 5Ks, and those are just kind of a little breeze and they're over. But I did a triathlon about 2 years ago, and at 45 years old, I was like, okay, this is part of the bucket list, and and I think the hardest thing for me was that swim.
Yeah.
It is like and that's what we started with, right? So you get 500 of your closest friends, back to back on a swim. It's oh man, it was tough. Obviously you're a person who's driven to excel and to grow yourself and discipline yourself. What would be your proudest achievement? What is something that you've accomplished that's the biggest thing?
For me, it would be my sobriety. I think that is definitely my biggest achievement. 20 years ago, I stopped drinking. I stopped doing any drugs. It's over 21 years now. It was November 7th of 2001. And yeah, that to me, because if it wasn't for that, Tracy, I would have absolutely probably spent my life in prison.
Wow.
I was a lunatic. And the same grit and resilience that I used in building my businesses and persistence, I was the same way, but just as an angry kid that came from a really, really broken, dysfunctional childhood. So I was definitely going to get myself in enough trouble where I would have been locked up for a long time.
What a story! What led to the November 2001 switch? What led up to that?
A judge, to be honest with you. That was it. It was either due time. I got myself in trouble, and again, in this time, it was they had given me a suspended sentence for it was like 2 years, and then it was another year on and after, which is what they call it. It means if you have to finish the first one. So it's it was a long time to be locked up. I got locked up for 60 days. You know what I mean? I got myself arrested a bunch of times when I was younger, but this was like real real time. And so for me, it was, I don't know. I gave up. I guess I humbled myself. There was this, as an alternative to being locked up, like basically what I had to do is I had to stay out of trouble for 3 years, which was impossible at the time for me. I probably got arrested every 4 or 5 months because I was a lunatic. Wow. But then if as long as I did that, I wouldn't have to do the time that I told you about earlier. Yeah. And so they gave me the other part of it was I had to go do 6 months at an alcohol rehabilitation center, which was state run, basically an alternative to being in jail. Very minimum security jail is what it is. Yeah. And so I got there, and this corrections officer named Clinton, really good guy, Clinton Harris. It's funny. I was messaging him yesterday through LinkedIn. He lives in Western Massachusetts, and just thanking him, man, because he kind of befriended me, brought me to a downtown meeting in Springfield, Massachusetts, and there was this little black lady that somehow convinced me to get on my knees and humble myself. And I'll tell you, it all started right there, man. And that was the rest. There's a lot more story to that, but I know that's probably not what we're here to talk about today. But that's where it all started.
I think my show is called The Collaborative Entrepreneur because there's a journey. And what's so amazing is like when I ask that question, it's something that's like, with all the things it's never the money. It's not the money that you've achieved. It's not the cars, the house, the place you moved to or whatever. It comes back to like something that began that journey, that catalyst, that cataclysmic climax, that event. I know that I'm December 29th, so December 24th, 1999 is when I had my moment too. And so I mean, like similar testimony there where you get yourself your DUI, you get sentenced to rehab, and that was my come to Jesus moment. I'm a person of faith, and I came to Christ, as a young child. But you drift, and that was my like, hey, you give me that second chance, I'll be the man I'm supposed to be.
Amen, brother. I love it. I didn't know that. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And I know I can you can tell the people of faith, because the people of faith that like when something good happens, they say amen. Yeah. And I can hear that in some of the events. I'm like, I got to get with David. David's a person of faith there. What about growing yourself and developing yourself over the last several years since that moment to now? How do you do that? What's your plan of attack for growth and development?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just super learning based. I became interested in it when I sober, and then I started, running a business, and I've always been a really good salesperson, regardless. Even in my crazy drinking days, I could still sell, right? Mm-hmm. But what happened was I hit a ceiling of growth where I could only do so much myself. This happened when I got sober, right? I mean, now I'm sober, now I'm running my business, I'm grinding, and 3 or 4 years in, and I'm just hitting a ceiling. I keep hitting the ceiling, and I said, okay, I need to hire some people now. And I hired some people, and I was horrible. I was my father, but trying to run a sales team, and it was just so bad. And that was when, I was at Keller Williams at the time, and got involved in some of their, leadership training and recruit select, and just, ways. And when I got involved in that, to me, it was super interesting, because I'm a high school dropout. I mean, I dropped out of high school. Wow. I did 2 years at college. I did a automotive technology program. So I dropped out, but then I went back, got my GED, and I did a 2-year thing at Quinsigamond for auto tech. But I never studied leadership or personal development or anything like that, So I was just a grinder. So for me, Tracy, it just became this thing where I would bring people in, they would quit, I'd be a jerk, and I just said, okay, I want to change. I don't want to be a jerk. I don't want people to think I'm a jerk. You know what I mean? And so over the years, I just got involved in a lot more training, education, and personal development. I surrounded myself with, Tony Robbins, just now I'm part of Grant Cardone's organization, Success. I've had dinner with John Maxwell. I mean, I've just been around in that space for a long time.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I noticed. I know. So I'm certified through John Maxwell's organization before I came to Grant's, and it's interesting on the calls. You notice. I mean, because like I've read the bulk of John Maxwell's books, and so it's interesting when you see like somebody else that's familiar with him and they got his books on their shelf, like on their backdrop or the back screen or something like that. Ken Lewis was one on yesterday's call that I saw. Like, I got to connect with that guy. He's got top of the shelf. I saw the whole thing, like probably 8 or 10 John Maxwell books.
Yeah, John Maxwell's he's amazing, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's an inspiration. So how did you know about like was there something like growing up as far as real estate and sales that you knew that's why you wanted to explore that? How'd you find that why and that reason, that purpose in your life?
No, I mean, I think I fell into sales. I saw, going way back, I think I saw an ad. I was looking for a job. I was not really employable. I think I worked at like Burger King and got fired, and I worked at like the grocery market, bagging groceries, and all I wanted to do was talk to the girls at the cash register. It was just so. And then I saw this job for like, it was something like you make like $100,000 or something, making phone calls, and I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. And I went, and and it was a Kirby call center, and I did it. It wasn't easy. I didn't do that good at it, to be honest with you. But that's where I started, and I got okay at it, and then from there I ended up going to work for, like I said, Chase, and I don't know. It's not like I always said, oh gosh, I want to be a guy that works phones, but now it's like, as much as I try to get away from that, it's wild. Like I'm actually being pulled back in right now because an international company reached out to me and is talking to me right now. This is really, really wild about working with them and helping them connect, like literally cold call C-level CEOs for all like huge Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 brands.
Wow. And
schedule, connect with the leadership expert. Yeah, it's pretty wild. So I'm in those talks right now, and it's a pretty massive opportunity that I'm looking at, and I'm considering it, even though I'm like, oh man, I don't even want to make freaking calls anymore.
Yeah.
I'm really, really good at it. I did it for Gary Keller, for Keller Williams for a couple of years. Not for a couple of years. I did it for 9 months. They paid me as a consultant to call independent brokerages. So it's just something that's been part of my DNA. And even as much as, like I said, sometimes I'm like, I just don't even want to make freaking calls anymore. It always ends up coming back to me. It's weird.
That is amazing. I thank you so much for sharing that. Like, that is so much value that you drop for my audience, because in a collaborative entrepreneur, the way that I look at collaboration is like, we want to be in this space. We want to share our story. And an entrepreneur is just one who's willing to take more risk than the normal person, is the way I look at it. And so collaborating like that, those that are watching this, just thinking into that, like for my own business, I wanted to distance myself from all things food service. I wanted to get away from that. Like, no, I'm done with that stuff. I want to move into some other space. But like, it's haunting almost. It's like coming back, like the opportunities for me to help and serve come from what I know best. And I know people, and I know people in that industry from the time of just being a 18-year-old kid, being a supervisor of a 3-star restaurant in Cincinnati, Ohio, and steakhouse, and then leading that team. I was leading guys over twice my age and stuff like that as a supervisor, and so just growing in that, and then coming. I had some time with Chick-fil-A, and had an opportunity to explore becoming a franchisee, and an operator of a Chick-fil-A. It's just like, it was too limiting for me. And it's like, you can only, if you ever think about Chick-fil-A, you can only do one thing. You can be a Chick-fil-A operator, and that's all you can do. Like, they don't let you take your eye off the ball. So, and like, I want to do a bunch of things. So I was like, nope, that won't work for me. And I think we can make more money outside of that. Anyway, but the point was, like with you, with the calls, it's like, it's haunting. So there's probably somebody watching this right now that's trying to get away from what they're really, really good at. And it's just, I finally had to have that come to Jesus moment where I just said, okay, I surrender. I surrender. I know that this is my space. So I serve QSR and those leaders and those team members and building systems and processes. And that's just awesome to hear. I've never heard somebody else say that just like you did, as far as like surrendering to, I don't know, it keeps on coming back up. So I guess that's where I'm at.
Yeah, it's interesting. I joined when I left, my wife and I, we moved our family from, I stepped out of my real estate team that was paying me a pretty good chunk of money at the time to run some Keller Williams offices out in Connecticut. So we sold our house. The whole thing was just, it was a lot. And we sold our house. We moved to Connecticut, ran these Keller Williams offices for 2 years. There were a lot of promises made that didn't happen, not from me, but from the other person that owned the offices. And then at the end, I recruited over 200 agents, not just me, but a team of us. And at the end, we wanted to go, and my wife wanted to go home, so we left. And anyway, bonus money was owed to me that I didn't get, so I made a decision at that point I was going to leave Keller Williams. And what happened was, Gary Keller, who is the founder of Keller Williams, Jason Abrams, who's like one underneath him, found out I was leaving, and they reached out to me like, how did you bring in 200 agents over 2 years, literally cold calling? And I just talked to him for a while, and he said, well, we want you to come to work for us. And my wife didn't want to move to Austin. She's like, I'm not moving again. We already relocated. It didn't work. Like, F you. For the most part, right? And so they said, well, let us pay you as a consultant then. So they hired me as a consultant for 9 months, and I literally just cold called independent brokerages and scheduled meetings between independent brokerages and Gary Keller and Jason Abrams. And I did that until COVID hit. And once COVID hit, they said we have to shut everything down. And that was when it was really difficult, but I decided that was when I left Keller Williams. So anyway, again, it's just another one of those things where somebody high level reached out to me and said, hey, you're really good on the phones. We want to use you on the phones. And I'm thinking like, I don't want to be on the phone, but it just keeps coming back. I've been doing it for so long. I'm good at it. And so I think I just need to embrace it, and we'll see. The Lord always has the big plan, right? He does. So I just got to keep showing up. And,
I love how what you just said there about embracing that gift.
Yeah.
That's what about when you in your entrepreneurial journey? I know that I felt stuck before, or just overwhelmed. Maybe it's technology, like about 10 years ago when I was like actually coming into technology and opening up my Facebook account, all this kind of stuff. I just felt like this is overwhelming to me. What do you do when you feel stuck or you feel overwhelmed?
As far as how
in your business, like as you're growing, I mean, like right now coming into, being a certified, I have a coaching business on that I've been growing. And I came to Grant Cardone just because I just saw my results at the end from 1 year to the next was like a $3,000 increase. And I was like, no, that ain't going to work. So we can't, I knew I was stuck. Yeah. And so I was like, I got to do something else. And what I did was I just reached out to somebody that I felt could unstuck me. And now I feel more overwhelmed than I've ever been before because I got now irons in the fire everywhere, but it charges me. It just, I don't know, I guess just for you on your entrepreneurial journey, when there's that sense of overwhelm, you've got so much to do or so much to learn, what's the secret?
Well, I guess I'm there now, right? Because they want me to call I've never in my life called C-level executives or CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, right? So it's like, to me, that's new space. The space they're in is a different space that I'm not used to as well. And I haven't signed an NDA yet, so I'm not going to talk exactly about what it is, but essentially it's it's it has to do with decentralization and things like that are changing, right? There's a lot of, as you know, and everybody listening to, there's a lot of changes happening out there, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So it's pretty wild. It's a wild opportunity, and I'm thinking like, well, geez, I could keep doing what I'm doing, which is what you were saying right now, and yeah, I'm doing all right. I make a good living for myself and my family, but I'm always grinding, and or I can look at this and do I partner with these guys, and within a couple of years I'm gonna be wealthy, right? So that's where I'm at. And so for me, I just pour in. I just keep moving forward, man. Like if I get frustrated, like the other day I was frustrated, and what I did is I just went and I just started talking to more people, having more conversations.
Yeah.
We're launching a network right now called Master Networks locally, and it's been, actually, is that where I saw? No, you met Chaz. Remember Chaz?
Yes.
Chaz and I ended up connecting after I went out to Dallas, and so we're launching a Master Networks chapter. I'm essentially bringing Master Networks to our region.
Oh, that's awesome.
And, so it's super exciting. But how am I doing that? Is I'm literally just calling people and saying, hey, we're bringing in this new networking group. It's super exciting. Are you interested in being part of it and securing all the the leads in your business? Are you familiar with BNI? Yeah, it's kind of like a BNI, but maybe like a high. I don't want to say anything negative about BNI because I built BNI chapters, but kind of like a higher level BNI, right? So we're bringing that in now, and it's been fun because the last month and a half of my life, that's what I've been doing, talking to people. And so we have this chapter we launched yesterday, and now we're thinking about, okay, how do we expand this and launch more chapters? So
that's awesome.
It's exciting, but it's like, okay, I got all this other crap going on. I had a huge challenge with my coaching business. I lost a bunch of clients to a competitor. It's my own fault, but I lost it. And then I just said, you know what? I can't complain about that. I got to look at what can I do better.
Right.
But why did they leave? It's me. It's not the other competitor's fault. It's my fault because I didn't have enough to keep them there. Right.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna focus on building my business, and I'm gonna focus on launching this chapter because it's super exciting.
That's awesome. Thank you for just being so transparent. I mean, like the people on this call that are watching this are gonna, like whoever's seeing this, I want to speak to you right now that like what David just did that's tough. It's tough for any of us in the entrepreneurial space to say, yeah, I failed here. I didn't get this right, or this bad thing happened, because it does, and it looks so glitzy and glamorous. But I think success is built on the foundation of failures, and sometimes it's one after another. And just, I love what you just said. Just keep moving forward. Where I would say, just kind of lean into it. Like it's got to break. Like you keep on going, and like I don't know who it was that said sometimes we quit 6 inches from gold. It may be like Ed Milet or somebody like that said.
There's a book, 3 Feet from Gold. We were just talking about it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. So what about a like one trait that you want to learn that is going to benefit your business, where you're going to? What is that? What are you growing in right now? Like the one thing, like I got to know more about this for this chapter building, or for whatever the next step is.
I think for me, it's I think that's a good question. Something I hadn't thought about. Like, what's the one? Like for me, I just look at growth. Like, how do I become better at listening? Not be argumentative, because that's how I've always been aggressive, right? Like, and so and it got me so far too. Like it's people. Oh, I'm not aggressive. I'm assertive, is what I used to say in real estate. And a lot of people like that. They're like, yeah, I want someone that's gonna be more aggressive or assertive, right? But now I'm in a different place in life where I still want to make sure I'm, I got the oomph and the urgency, but at the same time be able to connect with people at more of a relational level. So I think that's probably where I am right now, more like focusing on relationships as opposed to transactions, if that makes sense.
Oh, I love that. That's excellent. And what's so funny is like I'm in the reverse. So like I've always been high on the relationship side, and like as far as connecting with people, as far as finding out more about them, exploring, probing, finding out, and then like I've got all this data now. how do I convert this person, right? So I can do that, but like mine, I need to lean in, and like the cold calls that you're a master at, that's what I need to grow in. Like, and you've just got a rich voice that I would love to hear you just, give me a call up. Hey, this is David. It's like, because you just got such a rich voice. Mine is like nails on the chalkboard.
No, yours is fine, man. Come on. I think anybody's fine. It's not even, I mean, the voice is one thing, but I think it's your tonality. It's smile. I smile a lot. That's something people tell me all the time. Like, on Zoom. One of the reasons these guys like me so much is because they think I'm really, really good on Zoom, and because I smile a lot. I smile a lot. Good eye contact, although I keep looking at my phone because I get this Clubhouse thing going.
Yeah.
But
right.
yeah, so I think, just maybe all the training I went through, like trainer, events and becoming a speaker and speaking to groups of people helped me become a better presenter. And that's been a part of it as well. So yeah, and I think on the phone, I've made so many calls. It's like, it doesn't matter what anybody says to me anymore. I'm just like, okay, if that's how you feel, like whatever, like, are you sure? Like, so it's funny because I just called someone earlier and how like when you call someone and you tell them who you are and they're like, there's like this awkward pause.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I was like, you don't sound like you're too thrilled, like happy to hear from me. You know what I mean? And they're like, no, it's not that, right? But what happens is now you broke the ice because you just came transparent with the person and authentic, right? And
that's so good.
And I got in a conversation with someone earlier, and it was a really good conversation. But I could tell I caught him off guard. He wasn't expecting my call, and it was somebody I ran into at a Starbucks like 3 weeks ago and talked about master networks. I've known the guy for years, but so I said, hey, I'm just giving you a call. We met at the Starbucks, and I told you I'd reach out. I wanted to make sure I did what I said. He was just like, yeah. I was like, oh wow, you don't seem too excited that I called. And with a smile, right? And he's like, oh no, I got a lot of stuff going on right now. But it completely changed the energy of the call.
Love that.
Right? And I think those are the types of little things that a lot of people need to get really, really good at. And it just comes from experience, like reading. Like I can read somebody's energy immediately. When they first respond.
I love that, like that response. You spoke into the awkward silence with this, like, you don't like this honesty, like this, like you don't sound very happy that I called, like still smiling. I love that. That's almost like being comfortable in like your brilliance is that you're just honest and just open. That's great. What about so I mean, in 35 years, no doubt you've learned a great deal that you love teaching. What's one big lesson, maybe a lesson regarding sales that, I mean, because I got to be in Dallas. I mean, you nailed it. I loved the talk you gave us on sales. But what's one big sales lesson that when you get a chance, if somebody were just like, hey, off the cuff, hey, David's in sales. Hey, David, why don't you tell us something about sales? Like, it's like a comedian. Hey, tell us a joke. What is something about sales that you've learned that you just love sharing with people?
I mean, I think for me, if there's like the one thing, it's probably what I just said is you have to be, there's a distinction. It's called committed, but not attached. I don't know if you ever heard that.
That's good.
But
no, I haven't.
So like for me, I'm only gonna, like, I believe in what I do. So if I'm calling you, I'm not calling you to, I don't want to swear on your podcast, right? Yeah. But I'm calling you because I believe I can help you, right? And I believe that. And hey, if you don't want my help, that's cool. I'm not gonna, I mean, yeah, sometimes does it sting when people say weird things? Of course it does, but I just move on to the next. So the way I look at it is I'm committed 100% to helping you, but I'm not attached to the outcome. So if you tell me to pound sand, then fine. I'm gonna move on. Your loss. If it doesn't come together, that's fine too. No big deal. So because what happens is a lot of salespeople are so attached to the outcome, and then it doesn't work the way they want, and then they get all fired up in their head and they say, oh, this doesn't work, and then they take it personal, and then they stop. Where for me, the outcome's going to happen because I've done enough. I've talked to enough people. I've shared my message enough. I'm really, really good at what I do. I have confidence in myself. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
I loved it. Love it. Yeah, I want to repeat that, because being not attached to the outcome, because if you are, you're going to say it doesn't work, you're going to take it personal, and then you're going to stop. And when you stop, like you're almost withholding. Like if you do have brilliance and you do believe in your product, so my product is me.
Yeah, that's the first one, right?
Right. So yeah, I believe in my product, and I am the message. I'm the coach, or I'm the consultant, or whatever that is, and I believe that I can help make a difference. But like if I stop, then I'm almost screwing people over, because I'm not giving them what they need, and they need me. And so like I think it's good for me to hear it about like which level am I in? If I'm attached to the outcome, I've stopped somewhere, or I've taken it personal, or my mindset is now, oh, it's negative, it doesn't work. And so like you could say, like when you're attached to the outcome, it's one of these three things are showing up. You either stop, you've taken something personal, or you're saying it in your mind, it doesn't work. And like I probably have been in all three stages at some time, which means for me, like you nailed it for me, that I've been too attached to the outcome. That's good stuff. I like that.
Thank you.
That's really, really good. I'm gonna borrow that. I'll credit you for it, but I'm gonna borrow that.
You got it, man. I borrowed it myself. So I'm thinking about one of my last listing appointments I went on with this guy. One of my team members asked me, he was someone selling his house himself, and this was the first time I met him. She had talked to him a couple times. She asked me to come with her on the appointment. It was a $750,000 house, and so we walk in, and we're in the foyer, and the first thing he says to me, or to us, he says, "Hey, I just want to let you guys know, I'm not signing anything today." So I says, "Okay, amazing." I says, because there's only one of three things that can happen today. You'll either sign something, and that'll be great, or you won't sign something, like you just said, and that won't be so great, or we may choose not to do business with you.
Yeah.
Is that fair? Is
Yeah.
that fair? And I'm not exaggerating. The guy looked at his wife, and he said, "Yeah, that's fair." And then a half hour later, they were making tea for us and signing the agreement.
Wow.
So that to me is an example. I'm not attached. Like I'm there. Like, listen, I may not take your listing too, man. Mm-hmm. This has to be a win-win. So I'm not here to beg. I'm not here to reduce my commission. Like I'm here to help you. Mm-hmm. So what that did was it put us on the same playing field.
That's so good. It's good. Thank you for that story. So, okay, so let's say that there's somebody, and I'll bring it down here and honor your time. But if there's somebody listening to the call right now, maybe they're young, or they're looking to go into business for themselves, and like you've got, this 35-year-long journey that you've had. What do you think that they should be focusing on right now? They're young, maybe they just got out of high school, or they're grinding through college, or they're wondering whether they should go, but they have that kind of entrepreneurial itch. They want to do something with their life, build something. What should they focus on? How should they prepare right now?
Yeah, good question. I think you just gotta. So here's the thing. It's way harder. Grant wrote the book, The 10X Rule. This is what I always get from the book, is that it's 10 times harder than you plan. And I think you just got to prep yourself for that, and if you're doing something that you love and you're passionate about, then you'll keep moving when it turns into I don't know what rating your PG is. So your podcast.
Roll with it. Bring David Hill out. I want to see him.
A shit show, right?
Yeah, right.
But and that's the thing. It's like if you love what you're doing, you're passionate, then you're gonna keep moving. But it's it's like everybody thinks like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and I do no, because I did it myself. It's gonna be easy. It's not easy. It's 10 times harder than you think. I thought I was going to move my real estate business from Worcester, 8 miles up the road, to Westboro. And all of a sudden, every seller in Westboro is going to be listing with me. I was the #1 guy in Worcester. When I moved my business, it was like, all of a sudden I couldn't get listings. I was like, what? This doesn't make sense. Because nobody knew me, right? But I was committed to it. And what I thought was going to take 4 months took 2 years. But we still did it. You know what I mean? And the same thing with my coaching company. I've been at this for going on almost 2 years now, you know, and we got 60 clients, and then we fell back down to 35 clients. And then we, you know, so it's people come, people go. You know, and that's the way it is, you know, and we've increased our price, which, you know, has been tremendous. So yeah, but it's just work, man. I would just say, get your work boots on. That's what I would tell you. Get those friggin' work boots on and plan the grind, because that's what it is.
I love it. Love it. And that 10X philosophy is going to take 10 times more work than you ever imagined. But the reward is just, it's almost inexplainable. I mean, like, you can't explain, like, when you see your hard work begin to pay off.
Yeah, absolutely.
True. Okay, so so I think I saw something that you got maybe an event that's coming up at the end of the month. Something that you're putting.
I do. I have a sales workshop coming up. It's more of a high ticket event. It's a 2-day. We're going to go through the sales execution process, bring you through the whole sales process. And then day 2, we're incorporating some automation and some tech. It's super, super cool. It's one of my favorite courses. It's a Grant Cardone workshop. It's one of my favorites to teach. We're teaching it virtually on Zoom. And then for the VIP, we're actually going to incorporate an additional 2 coaching calls. And so, yeah, it's just super, super exciting. You know, that's a $2,500 ticket on the VIP. If somebody's interested in that, you know, I mean, that's a game changer. So you know, I just tell people, you know, what's your, when you sell a product, how much money do you make? I think sometimes we have to help people make sense out of investing money in themselves. Mm-hmm. You know, you know, real estate agents, you know, they make 10 grand. Well, then good. So you invest 2,500, you get 1 sale out of it. You just got a 4X investment. And now you have skills for the rest of your life that will never go away. And then if you want something free, just go to davidihill.com/free books. davidihill.com/free books. You can get either book. And then if you're interested in the workshop, it's davidihill.com/sales tech. SALESTECH. And then the other one is free books.
Great. Thank you so much, David. And they can follow you on the typical social media platforms, social media, the LinkedIn and Facebook, Instagram, those kinds of things.
Everywhere. David I. Hill, pretty much David I. Hill everywhere, except I think on Twitter. Okay. Twitter's David Hill 10X or something. But yeah, everywhere else I don't do a ton on Twitter anyway. Although I need to start doing more. It seems like it's growing.
Me too.
But yeah, it's David I. Hill everywhere. That's how you get me. And then my website is at davidihill.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you, David, for joining me on this call. And thank you to all of those viewing this call right now. And you're following TMC Coaching, your host, Tracy. You can learn more about me and what I do online at tmccoaching.org. I do a lot of work with QSRs. 180turnarounds.com is how you can find me on that. And if you'd like to have more information about that, we can connect. You can hit me up at email, tracy@tmccoaching.org. Until next time, surround yourself with great people who can elevate your thinking and inspire you to dig deep and do more. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Collaborative Entrepreneur Podcast. Be sure to like and follow and turn on notifications for future episodes launching every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you're an entrepreneur wanting to be on the podcast, you can let us know by emailing us at tracy@tmccoaching.org. Let us know the industry you're in, as well as your biggest wins and learns that you've achieved along the way. If you want to find out how you can work with Tracy in other ways, you can do so on all major social media platforms under 180 Turnarounds. You can also find us on our website at 180turnarounds.com. So until next time, guys, let's win together.